AM 1060 WMEL. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
Welcome to Helping Seniors of Brevard. My name is Kay Kaiser. I'm sitting in for Joe Steckler today. He's on a special assignment, but I'm happy to take his place and very honored to be able to talk to you and our listeners today. Let me remind you something about that. I think it's very important. My official title is the Information Specialist. So I take the calls, and if I'm on the other line, please leave a message because I will always return your call. And just talking to our guest, Dr. Sheldon, here today, we've fielded over thousands of callers coming in, and many of those callers have called back numerous times because I always ask my caller to call me back, let me know how are things going with the resources that I've given you. And if I don't hear from you, I'll call them back. So that part of our mission is to improve the quality of life for seniors by providing information, education, and access to resources. And before we get started with our special guest here today, I would like to give a little special credit to those who make our show, like our radio show here today, possible. Aldea today, Barbara McIntyre, who specializes in reverse mortgages. A new partner come on, that's Brevard Chiropractic and Injury Center, but they also have a company called Neurogenics Nerve Center of Rockledge. So that'll be interesting to follow. Canadian Medicine Melbourne. Cobblestone Real Estate, which is the Waters, a new 55-plus area that's being built for Melbourne Beach. It's beautiful, according to their website. Courtney and Braswell Financial Group, Ebony News Today, Ear Care, Handy Pro of the Space Coast, and soon I hope for Elaine, she's going to get that approval for Medicare, which will help people pay for their home modifications so they can age with dignity in their own home. Hometown News, Kindred at Home, Levin Home Care Nurse Registry, Organized Creative Designs. Don't let that name fool you because she goes in and she can help you downsize, and she goes over and above to make sure that you're getting organized to make perhaps a move. Riverview Senior Resort, Senior Scene Magazine, and we'll pick up on the second half of our program today with a lot of our other partners that help make this possible. But before we go any further, let me honor our special guest today, Dr. Lee Sheldon.
Hi, Kay. Good to be here.
Oh, well,
good to have you here, too. This is exciting.
Yeah, I said it. I told you in the email it's going to be fun.
Yes, it will be.
Well, I think that because I have recommended you to a lot of the callers, too, and I tell them I hope they do, please tell them that you got their number from Helping Seniors.
That's right.
Brevard.
Make sure. Yes, absolutely. I want to know.
So it's important because we track this, folks. If I'm on the phone with another caller, we are getting on our voicemail, not one computer, but Joe's computer and Carrie Fink's computer, our media director. So even if a call comes in the evening or the weekend, I may not be at the office, but I'll acknowledge your call and try to call you even from my cell phone. So.
And I've got a secret for you.
You do?
We've got new TV shows that will be coming out shortly.
That's right. Yes, new ones coming in. As a matter of fact, you're going to be on a new one tomorrow, as I understand.
That's right. I have no idea what I'm talking. Yes, I do know what I'm talking about. I should never say I don't know what I'm talking about.
I would never believe it if you didn't say that. Well, you had emailed me a few questions that you thought might be kind of important for our listening audience to know. But before we get into some of that, your expertise actually is a periodontist.
That's correct.
Okay. Tell people, what is a periodontist?
Well, a periodontist actually wears several hats. And I'm going to tell you a hat that we wear that you don't think about very often unless you read what I write. And I hope you do. Or you listen to what I say.
I do, because I type it all.
The periodontist is the ultimate diagnostician of the mouth. The periodontist determines what teeth can be saved, what teeth can't, right. How the mouth should be designed so that there's a predictable result when you get all done. Mm-hmm. That's what we're trained as. We're trained as dental thinkers. And this is based on scientific research as well as experience, as well as being able to predict, is I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Would it be more predictable to save the tooth or take out the tooth and do a dental implant? That is what we do. And, I have a particular bent there because we see all of this advertising, including my own, that says, oh, dental implants are great. And they are. But with a periodontist, the periodontists knows whether it's a better option to save the tooth than it is to put in a dental implant, which can save you thousands of dollars. So, yeah, that's what we do.
And a lot of people, I'm sure, have come to you where they may have had some different dentists say, well, let's just extract that tooth. Mm-hmm. And your goal is to try to save the tooth if possible, I would think, right?
Exactly right. If we can save it predictably, it is usually a better long-term result if we do save the tooth.
Sure.
Now, if the tooth has had multiple operations on it already and it's crumbling, no. I mean, there are times when you just have to, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them type of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what we do.
Kenny Rogers, okay.
Right.
Kenny Rogers fan. I can hear it coming already.
So then the other side of it is the treatment that we do. And the treatment that we do is to save the teeth, and that is to reverse or at least stop the disease that's causing the bone to be lost from the teeth. That's called periodontal disease, and the treatment for that is important in order to be able to save the teeth. That's removing infections from the root surfaces so the body no longer wants to reject the tooth.
Right.
And then finally, in terms of surgical treatment, we do reconstruction. So some of the reconstruction we do is rebuild the bone that has been lost from the tooth.
How do you rebuild the bone?
There's actually a few operations that we do, and I'll be doing that in about an hour and a half. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, actually, there are a number of bone grafting materials that are made that are taken either from within the mouth or more often outside the mouth that are made in certain correct oral dimensions in order to be able to create new bone for the teeth or new bone for the jaw. There's bone powders. Looks very much like salt in a salt shaker, and that actually has regenerative material. So there are ways in which we can place that material in and around the tooth so the tooth now has more bone support once the repair has been completed.
Well, I assume that the bone growth is a variable on individuals. In other words, there's no set time that could be expected to be in the right position?
Correct. It does vary by a person's healing ability, but what's interesting is that very often the bone will regrow itself, or at least some of itself, once we take care of the disease on the root surface. See, the bacteria accumulating on the root surface has caused the bone to go away.
Right.
If we take that bacteria off, sometimes the bone regrows, or at least partially regrows.
Interesting. Well, I know personally I've had the scaling done where they go back up, up much larger into the root to really clean the tooth thoroughly. And a lot of people say, oh, that doesn't sound like a fun experience.
Was it?
Actually, no, it wasn't the best.
Were you numb for the procedure?
I definitely was.
All right, good.
Because
the important part of this is we need to be able to get onto the root surface and clean it predictably. Of course, the new wrinkle, which I've talked about on the air, and you may know about that, is the use of a tiny endoscopic device called a periscope. So that rather than feeling your way around the roots, which isn't all that predictable, you're actually placing the scope down below the gum line so that you can see what's there.
So exactly, you can tell where you are in the whole procedure.
That's right. And you can clean the root off, and you can see it.
But most periodontists may not have access to that equipment.
They do if they want to spend the money and if they want to do the training. There's only about 200, maybe 300 periscopes in the world, and probably 100 periscopes in the United States. And we've had ours. We had our first one around the year 2000. We got the updated version, which is tremendous improvement over the first version. We got that a couple of years ago, and it's nice when you can keep a patient out of periodontal surgery, and that's what.
Absolutely, I concur.
And by the way,
that.
That means that Rebecca and Sue, our skilled hygienists, are also the people who are using the periscope. The periscope doesn't do the work itself.
Gotcha.
And they clean the roots off, and all of a sudden I've got no gum surgery to do, so now I have time to be on the radio.
There you go. And TV.
That's
and
right.
write articles.
Right.
By the way, Dr. Sheldon writes excellent articles for we have a Senior Scene magazine, an 8-page newsletter that he participates every single month. And my hat's off to him because he knows automatically I'm going to put it in there.
Isn't it nice? The Google Calendar is fantastic. And sometimes I actually listen to it.
There you go. It's a good way to go. And also, while I'm talking about writing experience, Dr. Sheldon, along with Matthew Sheldon, your son,
Yes.
have produced a book called The Ultimate Mouth Manual. Now, I haven't read this all completely, but I've skimmed through it, and the information is invaluable. So, can they buy this online as well?
You can buy that online. It is on Amazon, or I'll tell you a secret.
Okay.
Anybody who is listening to this program, call my office, 259-8000, 259-8000, and guess what you might be able to receive free in the mail?
Your book, which is exactly what I did.
Good.
And while we're talking about numbers here and everything, for anybody listening who needs to have some resource direction, don't hesitate to call Helping Seniors of Brevard. That telephone number is 321-473-7770. Again, that's 321-473-7770. And if you have a computer, here's what's really interesting, too. You can listen to Dr. Sheldon, and you can see his television programs, and you can read his articles, because on our website, www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, simply go to the Media tab, and you can click any one of those outreach medias that we've done. We feel it's extremely important to get the information out to you. And every one of our partners is specialized in different areas. So what we bring to the table, folks, and I'm constant on the search, I'm always looking for new partners that I feel would be trustworthy and would be beneficial to help our seniors in Brevard County, because, gosh darn it, they need help.
That's right. They need help. The
They need
population is aging, such as my population, the baby boomer generation.
It's already there.
And, we talk about this because you probably know I run a national organization as well for periodontists. And one of the things that we want to make sure is within the dental profession, and this goes throughout, that we want to make sure that we maintain the highest level of ethics within our profession. Well, the people, because I happen to know a little bit about Helping Seniors of Brevard. The people who are selected to be sponsors of Helping Seniors of Brevard pass the ethical challenge, and that's what's so nice. You can depend upon
That's right.
those organizations who are sponsoring this program, as well as the entire Helping Seniors of Brevard network, because they've been screened, they've been vetted before they're allowed to sponsor.
Absolutely. And that's unique in the fact that, I can't think of any other nonprofit organization, Dr. Sheldon, that does what Helping Seniors of Brevard does. We're taking the in-calls. I'm taking those in-calls. I'm getting those to the resource. Interestingly enough, just this week alone, I get a call from Orlando. She found us on the internet, and she says, "Can you help me in Orlando?" And I said, "What are you looking for?" And by golly, she was looking to reduce her cost in prescription medications. And I said, "I got just the person for you." That person I called, he called back. He said, "She is now a happy camper."
Oh, nice.
So, and yesterday from Groveland, Florida. So the word's getting out. It seems like, we're making an impact and people are hearing about us. Yeah. But I know that you have a special thing you do for people. And if you still have this available, if people say, "I want to make a donation to Helping Seniors of Brevard."
Yeah, make a donation of $50 or more to Helping Seniors of Brevard, and you get the full examination plus a CT scan. The CT scan is worth at least $200, if not $300. Wow. All for a $50 donation or more to Helping Seniors of Brevard County. And we're very proud because, Kay, we have gone over the $150,000 mark in donations.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. And we've got a car that we're raffling off right now to try to, as a big fundraiser. It's a 1992 ruby red Jaguar.
It's beautiful.
With low mileage. So I encourage anybody who would like to buy a raffle tickets, one for $25, or they can buy 5 for $100. All they need to do is call me at 473-7770. We'll get those tickets out to you. So help us to continue to help seniors. But kind of got off the edge there a little bit, but Dr. Sheldon, you were so generous in offering that donation towards helping seniors of Brevard, and I'm hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you.
That's just awesome. I think it would be interesting to kind of discuss, if we could, what should you expect from a dentist or from a hygienist?
Well, let's talk about a dentist first, because you'll be seeing the dentist first. That's what we do. We need to do an examination before you can have any treatment at all. And I think what you can expect from a dentist is a detailed evaluation of where you are today and where we think you're going to be in the next 10 years.
Okay, so you have a plan you provide.
Yeah, I mean, just as you would go see an architect if you're building a home, then there needs to be a sound plan, a sound treatment plan associated with your mouth. Now, hopefully you come in and all you need is a cleaning, and that's it, and that's the plan. But many people, particularly when we get to our age, are beset with disease, whether it be decay or broken down teeth or periodontal disease, and there has to be a plan that's associated with that. And that's, at the outside of the program, we talked about architect of the mouth, which is my latest term. Director of dentistry is another term that I use.
I like that too.
So there needs to be, just as you would see anyone, including a physician. Let's assume that you were sick. God forbid you're sick and you're in the hospital. You're going to be meeting with a specialist. The specialists are going to map out a plan of attack in order to be able to take care of the disease. The same thing can be done and should be done by the dentist you see for examination. So it's thinking before doing is really important.
And that's really important. And I want to pick up on the second half here, because I made a list of different reasons why people hate dentists. But I wish I would have met you years ago, I'll tell you. Because a lot of people truly have had some unfortunate experiences.
They have, and people can, if you want them to call in the program and you want to talk about that, I'll be happy to talk about that as well, because certainly I hear that, and we've got to do everything we can to make the dental experience a good experience.
Absolutely, and get over that anxiety and everything. But you're not wanting somebody just to come in and that's it. You want to develop a relationship, I'm sure, with that patient.
Probably the most satisfying part about being a dentist and of my entire career is the relationships that we have.
I hit the nail on the head there.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
Well, a lot of people who haven't been to Dr. Sheldon, I think I saw on your website that you've got some awards that you post on there. What?
Oh, shucks.
4 years in a row?
Well, we're 3. We're working on the 4th one right now. But, yeah, that's a lot of fun. And, yes, we will have Best of Brevard again in Florida this year.
Yay!
So just as the presidential candidates are saying, I'll say the same thing. Vote for me! Vote for me!
Well, it has to say something about your business.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is people think highly of Dr. Sheldon and your staff.
My staff is fantastic. Imagine we have 21 people working in 2,000 square feet. Can you imagine that?
Whoa!
And we get along together so well.
Oh, I can see why. I think that, in any kind of business, it's a matter of how you treat your team.
Yeah.
And you work collectively together.
It's true.
And in harmony. So everybody has their position and knows what the other's doing, and everything's running around just really smoothly, which sounds like you've got it all together.
I've got a fabulous office manager in Danielle, and I have group managers that really care about the staff. And so whether it's Jennifer or Courtney or Laura, I mean, or Rebecca, we've got people who are there to help not just the patient, but also to help the staff excel. And the staff does excel.
I can tell. I can tell because I've heard nothing negative about your operation there. You have a lady on your team who's actually a nutritionist, from what I understand, correct?
Ooh, you heard the secret, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Lisa is a health coach, and she went to school to become a health coach. She actually is the receptionist in our office. But Lisa decided, and she's been in the dental profession as dental assistant for, I won't say how many years, but she's been in the dental profession for many years, and she just said, all right, I've been benefiting from this. So why don't I learn this? And this is nutrition or coaching, which actually is lifestyle coaching. So,
sure.
When your mouth is deteriorating, you've got other things that are deteriorating in your body as well. And that has to do with lifestyle and nutrition and those types of things. And Lisa is doing a great job, and her patients just love her when they take up the nutritional counseling program or the health coaching program with her, and they spend an hour with her once a week. For 4 weeks is the initial session, and that's very, very inexpensive. They come out with, I now know what to eat. I know how to read a label. I now know why I'm doing, not only why am I doing something, but how to reverse it and still feel better.
Right.
And feel good.
Exactly. And all that affects your teeth.
Of course.
And your oral health. A lot of people don't realize that, drinking these sodas is full of sugar, or, it's not helping your situation for future maybe diabetic situation, but all that, is involved with, I think, understanding good oral health as well. And what you put in your body makes a difference.
It does. I mean, just think about when we were kids, there would be a Coke machine at every gas station.
That's
now you go to a
right.
7-Eleven, you got refrigerators full of sugary drinks. And sugar is the culprit. 50 years ago, we ate 40 pounds of sugar a year, which sounds like a lot.
Wow.
Now we're eating anywhere between, depending on who you look at, we're eating anywhere between 140 and 210 pounds of sugar per person. Do you think that might have an effect on your body?
Oh my gosh, that's way, way too much. Sure. Yeah, absolutely have an effect on the body. Well, we're getting ready to go into a break here, and I encourage all of the listening audience out there, stay tuned, because we've got some really exciting and educational and informational on our second half to be continued with Dr. Sheldon. So stay with us. We'll be back with you very shortly, and we look forward to assisting you and learning more.
AM 1060 WMEL, your home for the Florida State Seminoles.
Welcome back to Helping Seniors of Brevard. My name is Kay Kaiser, sitting in for Joe Steckler today, who's on special assignment. And I'm just thrilled because the fact is that we continue to have some fantastic information to share on our radio arm here on WMEL. And I want to shout out our telephone number for anyone who is looking for resources. Don't hesitate to pick up the phone. We're not going to bite. We're going to take care of you. And we want to make sure that you're pointed in the right direction. So our telephone number is 321-473-7770. And before we get started with more information from Dr. Sheldon, our guest today, I want to shout out and give special thanks to a few of our other partners that make this show possible. Seniors Helping Seniors, of course, Dr. Lee Sheldon, Spotlight Magazine, the Eye Institute, the Fountains of Melbourne, Veterans Realty of Brevard, Vitas Innovative Hospice Care of Brevard, Watercrest Senior Living Group, that's called the Market Street, the Memory Care Resident. It's like a Taj Mahal here getting ready to open. Bill Johnson, an elder law attorney, WMEL, our station we're on, 1060, Wusthof Health System, and Zahn Beachside Assisted Luxury Living. So without further ado, let me reintroduce our special guest today, Dr. Lee Sheldon. Welcome back.
Well, thanks, Kay. And, it's a nice hot summer day.
Yes, it is.
We get to relax. I get to wear, nice thing about radio is I can wear whatever I want.
I was surprised to see you come in shorts today. But it's Florida, and that's one thing that people forget. I mean, I moved from Ohio, and I said, nobody really wears suits around here.
No, they don't.
It's a casual, carefree lifestyle. But, with your type of expertise, you with your credentials could go anywhere. I mean, you're fabulous. And we talked about the awards and everything that you've won and the Best of Brevard and everything, because you develop a team that really cares about your patients. And I want to talk about that. What can you expect when so many people looking for a dentist? One of the things that I find is that some good and some bad, that they don't listen. You know, it's here. Okay, here, you got to do this, you know, this, instead of having compassion, maybe, because a lot of people feel anxiety when they go to a dentist. They're afraid. Maybe they haven't been for a number of years. Do you experience that, Dr. Sheldon?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, of course, you know, the character of our practice has changed. At one time, I was a referral practice, referral only. We'd receive referrals from general dentists, and so those patients were in the system. Mm-hmm. Now, since my son has joined us and we have a general dentist in the group, and of course we have Dr. Michelle Furtado, a board-certified periodontist, now we're a group and we can pretty much do everything in the office, except for a few specialty procedures, which we would refer out, but if we do a lot more. So therefore, I have a number of patients. In fact, probably the majority of my patients coming in are people who have been out of the system and now are looking for a particular level of expertise or maybe compassion in order to be able to fix a problem that's just been lurking and just been sitting there and been there for a long, long time. And finally they say, or their partner says, you got to do something about this already. Right. And so now I'm confronting a number of patients who are afraid to be in the dental office. And while we can talk about sedation and general anesthesia, both of which we provide, what satisfies me or makes me happy is when a patient goes through what we do in our office and no longer needs the sedation and no longer needs the general anesthesia.
Now they trust you.
Yeah.
That's so important, because I think a lot of cases, from what I've experienced too, and I'll be honest, you know, I feel like it's an assembly line. Okay, you're going to this room to get sedated. Come over here, we're ready to go. Yep. And there hasn't really been any interaction, no education, really. Here's what we're going to do. Well, give me a little bit more. No, we don't have time to do that.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, because that gets just turned me off, you know, and a lot of people just have bad experiences. I think I shared with you an email that when I was a child, in a little farm town in Ohio, the dentists weren't very popular because a lot of people and farmers couldn't afford them, but they actually filled my teeth, and whether they needed it or not. And in that time too, there was no even numbness, and I thought, that was not a good experience. So, you know, people have things they can't forget, but I just got over it. And I said, all right, I had one tooth that was sticking out a little bit, and I said, you know, I'm 30 years old, I'm going to get braces. I don't care. Yeah. And I'm going to get it done because it's bothered me, even though everybody said I had a great smile. I said, it's not perfect. I want it better looking. So, well, a
lot of this is cosmetics. A lot of the things that we do are cosmetic, and certainly no matter what we do, we want to make sure we have a great cosmetic result.
Sure.
If a patient is going to lose all of his or her teeth, we want to make sure the cosmetics is fantastic when they get all done with treatment. But then there's the elective care on relatively healthy teeth.
Right.
And so whether it's braces or Invisalign or there's another brand name, Clear Correct, which allows you to be able to move your teeth a little bit in order to be able to line them up. The technology has been fantastic in order to be able to help more and more people with their smiles. And frankly, some of the technology has then allowed for a more aesthetic outcome and a quicker outcome. And in some cases, believe it or not, a cheaper outcome. So it doesn't always happen, folks. but there are ways that things have gotten better and less expensive in some areas.
Well, I feel like regardless of what age you are, it's really important. I know that I started my kids as young as I could. I said it's important, and they had what was the treatment called, where they had not fluoride, but anti-cavity treatment that stayed on their teeth to prevent cavities.
I don't know what else there was other than fluoride.
But there was some kind of treatment, and it lasts for a number of years. But then you have to have it done again.
Oh, there were sealants that would be placed in the mouth, and that would be a plastic sealant that would stick to the tooth. And
maybe that's what it was.
That would make the tooth impervious to the bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so I started them very young to take care of, and now my daughter is a singer and a teacher, and she's got a big mouth of teeth, even though she's just a petite little gal. So she has to be up there smiling and white. I said, how many whitening strips do you go through in a week? Well, Dr. Sheldon, it's a pleasure to have you here. And for those listening in, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show, if you have a question for Dr. Sheldon, don't hesitate to call WMEL here. Their number is 321-241-1060. So if you have a question, hop on. I'm sure Dr. Sheldon would be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And you can remain anonymous, right, Dr. Sheldon?
Absolutely. You don't have to tell me who you are. But if you want to.
And if you want to, all right. And your office number again is?
259-8000, 321-259-8000.
Excellent. Okay. I want to jump into a subject, and I just touched on it with some of my own personal, but I've got some reasons why people just hate dentists.
Uh-oh. You didn't prepare me for this one, Kay. I don't know.
What do you think the number one thing is?
Well, I know that the childhood experience is what I hear an awful lot.
Okay.
And essentially, they were forced to do something when they were a kid that they didn't want to do.
Right.
Or weren't introduced to it correctly, and therefore they were rushed through and just had a bad experience and never wanted to come back.
Right. Well, according to some of the research I've done, the number one reason why they don't like to go to the dentist is the needle.
The needle. Tell me about the needle.
Well, you tell me about the needle. What does the needle do,
There are ways of giving an injection, and we talk about that. As a matter of fact, we talk about that a lot, particularly with the doctors that are working in my practice, and it isn't just my practice. It's all over Brevard County and all over the United States on what we can do to make the needle, which is a necessary evil, make that less painful or painless, if you will. And there is a specific technique which we use, which takes a little bit of time. But if you use the right amount of time, you can make any injection almost painless, or perhaps painless, depending upon the part of the mouth. You know, there are two parts of the injection. One is the piercing of the tissue itself. Oh, piercing, what a bad word to use. But okay.
But that's a reality.
It is. Okay,
Yeah.
So you have to put the needle through the skin, or you have to put the needle through the tissue in the mouth. And
Right.
so that's one. That's the puncture wound.
Okay.
And so that has its level of pain. And the way you take care of that, frankly, is to make sure that you use plenty of topical anesthetic before
you inject.
you inject, yeah. And the topical anesthetic has to sit there for more than a minute in order to be able to be maximally effective. So make sure that that's sitting there long enough to get some kind of an effect.
Okay. That
So
makes
then,
sense.
we puncture the tissue. So then the next part is depositing the fluid or the anesthetic.
Right.
And when you're depositing the anesthetic, that's essentially a liquid which is going into the tissue and actually is stretching the tissue. And because it's stretching the tissue, that's a separate response, and that can hurt as well. Now, there's some tissues in the mouth that stretch more easily than others.
Okay.
And the worst tissue in the mouth that hardly stretches at all is the tissue on the roof of the mouth. And we very often have to get the palate numb. And so the way we do that is to make sure that we do the puncture, which feel about the same. Maybe a little bit more painful on the roof of the mouth. And then we just deposit one drop of anesthetic. And then we withdraw.
Okay.
And we let that one drop of anesthetic work for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
So now you've got a site that is numb. That one drop will numb that particular site. It won't numb the teeth. It won't numb all the tissue,
Right.
but it'll numb that small little area. Now you
makes
can go
sense.
back right into that same spot,
Right.
and now you don't feel it. Now you inject a little bit more.
Right.
Until you've reached the stretch receptors and the patient goes, I feel a little bit, or just before that, and then you take it out. And now you've got a wider area that's numb.
Gotcha.
Then you can pretty much inject any place.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think one time I had an injection done to numb, and the dentist actually wiggled my cheek a little bit to try to keep my attention off that and to the exterior of my cheek. So, little trick, I guess. Whatever.
We all have our tricks.
I'm sure you do.
Yes.
What do you suppose the number 2 reason why people don't like dentists?
Holy mackerel!
This is a quiz.
Why don't they like me? Because we're too old. Why?
They're afraid of the pain. Just exactly.
Same
it kind
thing.
of goes around with a needle.
Okay.
They're afraid of pain, and then going along with that, I mean. Have you ever had a patient say, "Oh, I just love to have my teeth be drilled"?
Yeah.
And listen to that sound and all of that.
That's right. What's wrong with you?
So I'm just, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just one of these things. And all of this because maybe somebody's had some not so good experience.
They have, because if they had pain or they, the child says, I feel it, and the dentist says, no, you don't, which has happened a few times. And hopefully it doesn't happen now. I think we do a lot better now than we did years ago. Then you're living with that experience where your own reality is being denied. You can't even say something and have the dentist believe you. Well, if that occurred when you were a child, trust me, in most dental offices now, you will not have that experience. If, in fact, you feel something, the doctor will stop and make sure you're numb. And once you're numb, you're not going to feel it.
Right, exactly. Well, the other thing that people, hesitate to go to a dentist is cost.
Yeah.
Cost. I get a lot of callers who are on such a limited income, and they need dental work.
Yeah.
They haven't been to a dentist in maybe 20 years for all that. And, what do you do? Well, how can we help them? So that's a toughie.
Well, it is a toughie, but let's talk about that a little bit. Because if we go back just a little bit more than a generation, before we knew how to, and it's probably closer to 2 generations now, I'm trying to make myself younger than I really am, before we knew how to save teeth, before we knew how to do dental implants, before we knew how to do root canals and successful periodontal treatment, all of which takes my time, and obviously we have to be paid for that. We've got a business to run.
Absolutely.
Before that time, we took out teeth and we put in dentures. Taking out teeth and putting in dentures is still the least expensive way of going. I'm not saying it's the best. It often is not.
Right.
But it's still the least expensive way of going. And we are fortunate to have dental offices throughout Brevard County that do only that, extract teeth and put in dentures. So there is a cost-effective way of doing it. Of course, most people want secure teeth, but that comes at a price. And so then if you're looking for that, looking for dental implants, then it's a different ball of wax altogether. But, an upper denture can be very stable, and an upper denture can look very, very good.
Right.
Lower dentures is where we have the most difficulty because they don't stay in very well.
Well, and I get calls, too, that people say, well, my denture needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
People don't realize that just because you have dentures, your mouth changes.
That's right. That's right. The denture stays the same. The mouth changes.
Just like your body.
That's right. Unfortunately, but true.
Yeah. Well, if you just tuned in, we're coming into our last part of our program here today. My name is Kay Kaiser. I'm the information specialist with Helping Seniors of Brevard, and I welcome any callers to call 321-473-7770. We'll try our best to get you in touch and go the right direction with available resources are available to you. And our guest today is Dr. Lee Sheldon. Used to be known as Solid Bite, but you prefer to just be Dr. Lee Sheldon at this point, right?
I do have the brand name Solid Bite, and interestingly, people come into our offices asking for Solid Bite, which is a particular service. I decide, and of course, I'm running an organization for other periodontists, so I have to be better attuned to what is working from a business perspective.
Okay.
And I think these days, particularly in these days of corporate dentistry and even corporate medicine, Rather than going to a brand name, I think people would still like to know they're going to Dr. Sheldon or going to Dr. Furtado. And
that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
It's about that building relationship, Dr. Sheldon.
It is.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about dentures, and there are dentists that just, their expertise is just to extract teeth and to get them into a denture and everything. And I came up with an interesting thing that I found online. It said, if you've never worried about losing your teeth, you should start.
Wow.
It just struck me. I said I made this text pretty large because I thought that was pretty intense. And it went on to say adults 20 to 64 have lost an average of 7 permanent teeth, and 10% of Americans between 50 and 64 have absolutely no teeth left.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Both cavities and gum disease can end in tooth loss.
They can, and a lot of this has to do with the habit patterns that you develop or that you're teaching your children or grandchildren now. Because frankly, a lot of dental disease can be avoided, and it can be avoided simply by doing the things that we know that we need to do. And whether that means removing the plaque from the teeth, which means good brushing, good flossing, whether it means we see the dentist for an examination once in a while, hopefully every 6 months or so, or whether it means we stay away from that dastardly stuff called sugar. Yes, dental repairs are great. They're fantastic things we can do with dentures and partials and fixed bridge work and with dental implants and root canals and all those types of things. But nothing is better than not needing any of that treatment at all.
Of course.
So, and there are ways of avoiding it, and this is one of those specialties where if you catch something early, it will make a big, big difference.
I was just appalled at that statistic. I mean, I couldn't believe that between 50 and 64, 10% of Americans have no teeth.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
Yeah. It's devastating because I just, it was this week or last week, saw somebody in her late 20s, early 30s, and she's going to lose all of her teeth.
Oh, my gosh.
And when it came right down to it was lifestyle. Whether we're talking about drinking sodas and that type of thing, and there's some sodas that can be devastating. All sodas are devastating the teeth, but some are worse than others. This is really listen to mom or listen to what you know is true.
Right.
And that is the fresh fruits and fresh vegetables is really where we should be going. You could supplement that with other foods that you like, but not processed foods. Fresh foods. And fresh foods, by the way, if you really look at it carefully, they are, and you just learn a little bit of food preparation at home, it can be done very, very inexpensively.
Well, and when you grocery shop, don't go for the aisle that's got all that sugar and carbs and everything else. People think bread, what's bread going to do? That's not going to damage me, but, it is. It does convert to sugar.
Yes, it does.
So read the labels, be more conscious on that. And I'm a believer. I love organic. Yeah, you pay a little bit more, but you're not going through all this process situation that you're getting in the shelves.
It's true. Organic food used to be called food.
It did. I grew up I was born in a little farm town. My grandparents owned a huge amount of farm, and they used to have a farmer that came, and he and his wife stayed in the farmhouse, and they planted soybeans and this and that, and we'd go to the garden and just pick those things right off the vine, rinse it with the hose, and, a tomato tasted like a tomato.
Yes.
A beefsteak.
Yeah.
And it was like, you just can't find that today.
No.
But those were the days, and I actually have to tell you, Dr. Sheldon, I got a letter that was sent to my attention here recently, and a lady writes, do you remember when there was real food?
Mm-hmm.
So...
And now I've got to go searching for it. Now the whole GMO thing and all of these things, and now we're trying to legislate that GMOs be labeled or listed, and now it's being fought by the food producer. I mean, it's too bad. There are good sources of food. I mean, I have my particular health food store that has fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and they're all organic, and I love going there. And even when we go to the major food stores, you see a lot of organic now that you didn't see before.
Even Publix has got a section of organic and everything. Yeah. So it's available to you, but do pay attention to what you put in your body because it does make a difference, and I believe in that very strongly. So, I'm a baby boomer, but I try to think that I'm going backwards, not forward. I have the energy that I felt like I was 30, believe it or not.
And so we keep on plugging away with that energy.
You betcha.
We can accomplish anything at any age.
Absolutely. And a lot of, even just touching on the nutrition, there are new developments that, eating proper foods and everything could possibly prevent dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that are on the works here. Well, I know we're wrapping down to less than a minute here. Dr. Sheldon, is there anything that you would like to leave our listening audience with today?
I think, the theme of today's show, was comfort in the dental office, or maybe avoiding discomfort in the dental office and looking for predictability, and you can do that. Just as you shop for a good anything, any service, you can shop for a good dentist as well. They are there. There are lots of good dentists here in Brevard County. Just make sure that you feel you can establish a relationship with that dentist, and chances are you're going to go very far with that dentist.
And that's the key. That's the key, because building that relationship, as I mentioned, take care of your teeth. Don't hesitate. Your teeth are kind of a window to the rest of your body, too.
Yes, they are.
So I want to thank you, Dr. Sheldon, for being our guest today. It's been a pleasure to have you sitting on the other side of the table there. And check back with us next week. Joe Steckler will be on. Thanks for listening today.